There's a thing on the screen up there, honey. So welcome everyone to this Fridays with Roshi. And I thought tonight I would do a full version. There's a long version and a short version of the Feeding the Demon practice. But I'd like to just start by doing a check-in. What's drawing you to this evening? You probably read the description, we're doing the Feeding Your Demon practice. What's bringing you here tonight for this session? I'll start with Paul, and we're going to pass the microphone around. We're going to start in the room, and then we'll do online.
Hi, my name is Paul Shepherdson, and I did the short version in the Overcoming Obstacle series just a couple weeks ago. So I went to the last Fridays with Roshi, and it's pretty interesting.
Hi. I saw the short. Oh, I'm sorry, Karen. Hi. What drew me? I've been meaning to come to Fridays with Roshi for many years, and tonight was a good night. And I saw the description that talked about your energy. The longer version talked about what's draining your energy, and I am really looking into what's draining my energy and wanting to really help to fill my bucket. So some things just seem like they're meant to be. So, yeah.
Well, in all honesty, this is Steve. I came because you were speaking. And I haven't been here frequently in the last couple of years. And whenever I have a chance to hear you speak, I want to be here. And I don't think you can learn to dance and play with your demons too much. I think it's a good practice. So I'm here to just experience more of that. Yeah.
My name is Ruth, and I was saying the first time I heard this concept was Stephen Levine talking about inviting your demons to tea. And that really stuck with me, and that has stuck with me for years. And so now, here I am, and I have, of course, many demons, but there's one that's kind of an umbrella right now, and it's that I'm getting a lot older, and it's happening very quickly.
Ben, you want to say anything? No. Okay. Those of you online, you've got the floor. Just unmute yourself, and remember to mute yourself when you're done speaking. But you can go in any order you like. What's bringing you here tonight?
I'll start. My name is Linda. Most of you know me, I guess. I am dealing with a particular demon at this point in my life. My first reaction is I'd love to starve him to death.
That's honest.
So, okay, I'll take a look at, maybe I should just feed him and see what happens.
That's actually an honest answer. I'd like to starve him to death. I think that's actually how we generally approach our demons, or we'd like to kill them.
Or I was going to say, shoot him.
Get rid of them. Out. Yeah.
So we're playing chicken with the mute button. Who's going to go right ahead?
That's grand. So indeed, Western medicine is all about trying to shoot the demon of cancer that I had in my eye, and I think they did it. But I'm ready to talk about the fact that maybe it would be a good idea to see how this tradition would instead say, why don't you just feed that demon and see what happens? That's why I'm here.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sarah. think what interested me is, I mean, the title certainly brings a lot of curiosity for me, and as kind of sat with that and read about, just what tonight is about, is spend a lot of time avoiding what's uncomfortable, trying to move past by just bypassing the issue and saying, okay, it's done, it's gone. And I notice that there are patterns and things that keep coming back up, and there's lessons to be learned. So kind of what drew me in was just the idea of getting closer to those demons, getting to know them, feeding them, and letting them be teachers, perhaps. Yeah.
Okay. I want to say, Sandy, you just had this incredible operation on his eye. I hope you don't mind me talking about it.
Oh,
but
no, I don't mind at all. In fact, it's
I want to say there's
cathartic.
nothing the matter with Western medicine either. I mean, you
No.
wouldn't want to feed the demon of your eye cancer. That wouldn't have worked. Sometimes we need Western medicine. So we're not suggesting here that
No,
there's anything the
totally.
matter with Western medicine. When we need it, we really need it and we use it. Yeah.
No, amen to that. And although I must say I had a chance to see a pretty fascinating video of hands-on in an operation, literally going into the chest and reaching in and massaging an organ and then pulling the hand out, and then it panned down to the chest. There was no mark whatsoever. And I would not have believed that had I not seen it and said, oh, whoa, there are a lot of different ways. And
there are a lot of different ways, and Chinese medicine actually is very sophisticated. The traditional Chinese medicine, they do they do heart surgery with Chinese medicine and acupuncture, people that are really well trained in that. So there are different medical systems too that we could appreciate. We're going to just appreciate one point of view here tonight from a Buddhist perspective.
Amen. Are you asking us to sit with two chairs facing one another? Because I don't.
Yeah, so thanks for reminding me. We'll get there. I'm just introducing it first. So you are going to want to have extra chairs, but we'll get there in a minute. And you are? Hi, Ed. We're just introducing ourselves, saying a little bit what's bringing you here tonight.
What's bringing me here tonight? A friend told me about this, but I've been on this 10-year recovery journey, and I still find myself being paralyzed by fear of making decisions, trying to figure out what I want to do in life. So when I heard about working with fear, I was like, sign me up. So I came. Sorry I was late. Traffic was horrible.
So let's wade into these waters slowly. In our tradition, the primary teaching that the Buddha taught was the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth and they're called noble, the noble truth of suffering. And one thing I think that's important to appreciate about this teaching of the Buddha was this was not a moral teaching. He was never saying suffering is bad. He was just acknowledging suffering. And there's something noble about acknowledging our suffering. There's something noble about that when we are able to be with it. So tonight, there's a lot of ways we could think about feeding the demons. In our Western psychological context, I think you're probably all familiar to some degree of the notion of our shadow, and that part of growing up is owning your shadow, psychologically speaking. And again, why it's a shadow is because we've disowned some major chunk of our authenticity growing up, and it needs to be retrieved. And it's usually scary, yeah? I'll give you a example of the first, my first awareness of shadow. Hi, come on in. Hi. Hey, you are? Dan. Hi, Dan, welcome. Before you want to say something about why you're here?
I'd say I'm sorry I'm late.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all right. We're just getting started.
I'm just here. A friend of mine suggested I stop by, and so I'm here. Yes. Yes.
So I think we're all somewhat familiar with the notion of shadow, and that it's that part of ourselves which we are afraid of, that we've disowned, that has been split off, right? And part of just being a good human being, a trustworthy human being, actually, is that we learn as we're growing up that part of our work is to own that shadow and not have it split off from us. So I'll give you an example of my first awareness of having a shadow dream was I was caretaking a retreat property for Trungpa Rinpoche in southern Colorado. And I was in a cabin up in the Huerfano Valley in nowhere, nothing around except retreatants and some cabins up the hill. And I had this dream. And in the dream, there was this black silhouette on the top of the mountain with a gun. And I woke up in a sweat, and I immediately thought, shit, someone's gonna come. I'm in this cabin and I'm totally unprotected. Someone's gonna come and kill me. That's what I thought. I got up, I locked the door as best I could, but it wasn't a very good lock. It's a cabin, and I couldn't go back to sleep, I was totally terrified. And then over the years, I proceeded to have that dream. It kept coming back, and it was the same thing, same fear, this black silhouette. I couldn't tell who it was, and it was really scary to me. And eventually, I identified that black, scary silhouette. And who do you think it was? Yours truly, right? And once I saw that it was me, then the fear wasn't there anymore. It had been in some strange way, I had made it my own. But when things are split off from us, which is what happens a lot with whatever we're afraid of, whatever we're struggling with, is something that's split off. So this particular facilitation I'm going to do tonight was developed in its Western form by Tsultrim Alioni, who's a Western Tibetan teacher. And it comes from a traditional Tibetan practice called Chod, which in the traditional Tibetan way, we would not be able to do it here. I would have to have an empowerment from a Tibetan teacher to do it. The Tibetan tradition is pretty conservative this way, and there's probably good reasons for it. So you have to do preliminaries and practices, and you get a whole teaching from your teacher in a Chod ceremony with lots of ritual and intentions, and then you practice it. But it's not made public. So Tsultrim Alioni did this practice for a long time. I believe she did it in India with her teacher, and she came back, and she felt like it needed to be accessible to people in the West, that it was something really valuable. And so she developed this form that we're going to do tonight and I'm really grateful to her for having done this, because it means that all of us can do this without having to do all the Baroque things within the Tibetan tradition. And so there is a lot of fear in our culture, isn't there? A lot of anger, fear, disruption, chaos, uncertainty. We are divided as a country, really divided. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any middle ground. We are really at odds, almost like it feels sometimes like we're almost at a civil war. There's that kind of divide, and there's no, and so these things take their toll on our psyches. We're actually feeling the angst and the uncertainty. If you watch the news, I can't watch the news too much anymore. I still watch it, but at a certain point, I got to turn it off. But so there's a lot of fear, and when it comes to illness, I'm speaking with a very broad brush now. When I speak of illness, I mean, by illness, I mean physical illness, but also it's connected psychologically to our lifestyles as well. Mental illness, emotional unwellness. You know, the word for suffering in Buddhism is dukkha. Dukkha means suffering or disease. And the image of a dukkha is a wheel where the hub is off kilter. So it's a bumpy ride. Yeah. So if we're talking about medicine, and this particular practice is sort of approaching illness as a offering a medicine for our illness, what plagues us. It's very common to use metaphors in Western medicine, isn't it? We use many metaphors, and doctors use all kinds of metaphors, but often the metaphor we hear when it comes to fighting cancer or killing the virus or whatever it is a military metaphor. And it's a fairly convenient metaphor. It actually it seems to work on some level, but there's also evidence that patients that approach their illness as a war, that they're at war with the illness, are generally not very, very happy being ill, and they're often depressed. And that when people approach illness with a different mindset, that there's some meaning in the illness perhaps, or something there to be with, then there's a very different kind of outcome in terms of their lifestyle and how they work with the illness. So the problem with this way of approaching our illness, whatever it is, again, I'm speaking very broadly, whether it's psychological or whether it's a physical illness or emotional, mental, whatever it is that when we are attacking it or struggling with it, we're basically pushing it away, aren't we? And we all know what that's like. We all have done it, and we'll probably do it again. When you're afraid of something, it's just kind of what we do. We push it away, and we have all kinds of coping mechanisms and defense mechanisms to distract ourselves from it or try to forget about it. But this pushing it away then splits what our condition of that illness it splits it from us. And so that now it's out here and we're fighting it, and there's no way to actually have a relationship with something that you're fighting because you're trying to get rid of it. You're going to kill it. And I don't, as I said to Sandy, in some cases, with chemotherapy and stuff, it might be appropriate. I'm not suggesting there's anything the matter with Western medicine. I'm going to have a hip surgery in a month, and I'm counting on the surgeon to be a skilled Western surgeon to operate on my hip. I don't want him to do feeding the demon practice in the surgery room when he's working on my hip. Okay, so let's be reasonable and keep things in perspective. But in fact, we do have illnesses that plague us, fears and anxieties. And those are the things we split off. And when it's split from your psyche, there's no way to work with it. It's out there. It's not. And so the whole approach here is, I think this is a basic principle in Zen Buddhist teachings, or Buddhist teachings at large, is to approach the suffering, to find a way to be with it, and to smile at fear, to actually be with fear. Now, that's not so easy to do. You have to actually own the fear first before you can be with it. You have to own the anger or the whatever it is. This takes courage to, and it's a little counterintuitive. So what we're doing tonight, we're going to feed the demon, our demons. Now, we don't believe in demons as such, right? We're not, and so what is the demon? I mean, we could say it's our ego. You know, the ego is the root cause of suffering. And from the Buddhist perspective, the self that we've constructed is why we suffer. And if we could, waking up in Zen is to really die to that self and be reborn as a bodhisattva, living by vow. But so the approach here is to find a way to be with what scares us, with some perhaps curiosity. And instead of pushing it away, invite it in to be closer, to actually be intimate with that. And kind of like my dream of that terrible, scary figure on the mountaintop, when you get closer to that which scares you, maybe it's not so scary. It's scary because we're separated from it and we have no way, we have no agency, we have no way to be with that. And so of course it's scary because it's coming from outside and it seems really large. So, any questions about what I've said so far? Does this make sense? Any skeptics? It's all right to be skeptical. Okay, so now if we call the demon the ego, it could be kind of abstract. You know, we say, oh, let's feed our ego. You know, it's hard to know what that is. So what's beautiful about this practice is that we're going to make whatever the demon is. The demon, perhaps we could think of the demon as that which robs us of energy. Yeah? Robs us of clarity or purpose, or robs us of a confidence of trusting our own instincts or opening our heart in some way. And so we're defended and closed and kind of like this, right? So the demon is that which saps our energy. You can think of that. And as I'm talking about this, I want you to start to imagine, what is that saps your energy? What is it that you're afraid of? What is it that, and where is it in your body? If you can find it somewhere in the body, that's helpful. And so you see what we're doing here is we're actually going to make this fairly concrete and vivid as a visualization. So it's not abstract. We're actually going to do this in a way that, with our imaginations, where we actually visualize each of our demons. And I'm going to take you through this guided meditation. And for those of you that registered for this class, I've already sent some of you the long and the short version of this facilitation. I'm going to do the long version tonight because we have time. And so don't worry if it doesn't come up in the way that I'm inviting you. Just kind of roll with it and see what happens. And you can always do this later on your own at a time of your own choosing. So what I am going to ask everyone to do is to get another, if you're here in the room, is to move to someplace in the room with another chair. And if you're online, take a moment to get a chair and put it right next to you, in front of you. And so everyone go ahead and spread out. Huh? Yeah, you want the chair right in front of you, because I'm going to ask you to close your eyes during this facilitation. So you want to be able to, honey, you want to help Paul here? You know, yeah. You want to be able to, you're going to move to that chair and you don't want to, you know, fall or hurt yourself. So you have the chair right up next to you. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everyone ready? Okay, so I'm going to invite you to close your eyes as you do this. There's no right or wrong way to do this facilitation. Whatever way you do is your way. And so I'm going to invite you to start by just paying attention to your breathing. And if you are comfortable, I would invite you to just keep your eyes closed until I ask you to open them. So as you breathe in, just imagine or notice tension that you might be holding in your body. And see if you can just gently relax that tension a little bit. Maybe release the tension as you exhale. Now, as you breathe in, notice any emotional tension you might be holding. And if you can find that in your body, that's even better. Is it in your chest, in your stomach, your throat? And as you breathe out, imagine, see if you can't release some of that, the holding that is going on around that emotional tension. Now, as you breathe in, notice any mental tension or reservations you may have about doing this exercise tonight. And as you breathe out, just release that. Just let go of that grip. What's important in this practice as a preliminary to generate an intention to be of benefit to other human beings, as to do this practice so that to benefit other sentient beings. And by creating this intention, you're sort of placing less importance on your ego and more importance on opening your heart, allowing your heart to soften a little bit, not be quite so guarded. And trust that this open heart, what we call bodhicitta, is actually a great strength in you and gives you the capacity to be with all kinds of challenges and sufferings that come up in life. So now I'm going to invite you to begin to imagine your demon, the demon that you want to work with tonight. And here are some questions that might help you find the demon. What is draining my energy? What is dragging me down? What is weighing on me? What is the weight I'm carrying? What incident has disturbed me recently? So whatever comes up, it could be something about some persistent fear or an addiction, a pain or an illness. It could be some conflict you have with another person. And if that's the case, I would invite you to work on the feeling that comes up in relationship to that person and not on the person themselves. And it may be a good idea just to choose the first thing that really comes to your mind in terms of the demon that you're going to invite here to work with. And as you sit with this, start to feel this demon in your body, the felt sense of the demon. What's the felt sense of the demon? So when you ground yourself in the body in this way, you're sort of bypassing some of your intellectualization. It can help you get out of your head and give you more direct access to your body's wisdom. And if you can find the felt sense of your demon, try exaggerating it. Make it larger. It could be scary. It's okay. We're safe here tonight. We're in a safe place. It could be horrifying. So you may find as you're exaggerating the demon that you have strong emotions that may be coming up with this. That's okay. You're just listening to see how this demon is showing up in your embodied experience at the moment. So as you're tuning in to the demon that is in your body, ask some of the following questions. What color is it? What shape is it? Does it have texture? What is its temperature? If it was to make a sound, what would it be? If it had a smell, what would that be? So now you begin to personify the demon in front of you, keeping your eyes closed. Allow this demon to take a shape. It could be an animal, a monster, another being. It's helpful if it has a body of some kind with limbs. That could be useful. And don't try to control what it is. If it's something that comes up that seems silly or inappropriate, just don't censor anything. Just let it come. Whatever. Let your unconscious mind produce the image. And if the demon shows up as an inanimate object, ask it, how would it look if it were animate, if it were an animate being with limbs? How would it appear? And then continue asking questions to clarify this personification in front of you. What size is it? Does it have arms and legs? If so, what are they like? What color is it? What is the surface of its body like? Does the demon have an age? Does it have a gender? What is the demon's emotional state? And how are you feeling as you see this demon personified before you? Keeping your eyes closed, imagine now that you're making eye contact with the demon sitting in the chair in front of you. Notice the expression in the demon's eyes. Look into its eyes. Look at the demon again and see if there's some detail or feature that you haven't noticed yet. So now you're going to ask the demon 3 questions. You do this silently. And the first question you ask the demon is, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? Next, ask the demon, what do you need from me? What do you need from me? And finally, ask the demon, how will you feel if you get what you need? How will you feel if you get what you need? You're not answering these questions, you're just asking them. And now change places with the demon and move and sit in the chair that's opposite you and be the demon. You're now the demon. So allow yourself a little time to be in the shoes of the demon. How does your normal self look from your point of view as a demon looking back at you? Now answer these 3 questions. You as a demon answer the question. What I want from you, what I want from yourself, the self that you're looking at across from you, you're answering this as a demon. What I want from you is, what I need from you is, what I need from you is, and finally, when my need is met, I will feel. When my need is met, I will feel. Now change your position and move back to the chair as yourself. And take a moment to settle in as yourself, seeing the demon in front of you again. And imagine that you're dissolving your body into the nectar that has the quality of the feeling that the demon would have if its need was satisfied. Imagine you're dissolving your body into a nectar that is feeding the demon and satisfying the demon, completely satisfying the demon, so that its need is being met And it's feeling whatever it felt when that need is being met. And you're feeding that to the demon. This nectar is entering the demon in any way you can imagine. And you just keep feeding this nectar to the demon until the demon is completely satisfied, is no longer hungry. The demon's need has been met, and the demon is feeling satisfied, well fed. Imagine what the demon looks like when it's completely satisfied. And at this point, you might actually notice that the demon begins to dissolve. And in the place of the demon could emerge another being as an ally. And if this isn't happening, imagine the demon is satisfied and dissolving, and in the place of the demon is emerging another being, which is an ally. And if that's not happening, invite the ally to come. And notice the details of the ally, the color, its size, the look in its eyes. Could be an animal, could be some being. Look in the eyes of the ally. And now ask these questions without answering them. Ask these questions of the ally. How will you help me? How will you help me? How will you protect me? How will you protect me? And what pledge or commitment do you make to me? How can I gain access to you again? What pledge or commitment do you make to me? How can I gain access to you again? Now change your seat and move to the other chair. And now you are the ally. You are embodying the ally. And look back at yourself sitting in the other chair. And what do you see? And now, as the ally, speak to yourself and answer these following questions. I will help you by I will help you by I will protect you by I will protect you by. I pledge I will. I pledge to you that I will. You can gain access to me by. You can gain access to me by. Now return to your original position in the other chair. And feel the help and the energy and the protection coming from the ally to you. And imagine that the ally is dissolving into you. And that both you and the ally are dissolving into emptiness. You're just dissolving together into open space. And allow yourself to just relax here. Just relax without trying to manufacture anything at this point. Now I invite you to open your eyes and look around the room, but as you do, imagine that you have the energy of the ally embodied in you, with you. So just get used to being in the, just very gently, just be in this space. And as you look around, imagine sort of still having the energy embodied with you, in you, of the ally. And now you can come back into the room. We arrange the chairs in a semicircle here at the center. So how was that? Anybody talk about it at all? How was it? What was it like? Yeah. Here, bring the, you get the mic.
Yeah, it was I just enjoyed the exercise. It was quite profound energetic and moving. I bypassed the demon part in the body, and it almost immediately started manifesting. It was quite intimidating, quite an intimidating figure. You know, a little bit of a postmodern wrathful deity type thing. Yeah. And then there's a lot of fear and energy and almost evil, destructive energy. And yeah, pretty humbling, pretty humbling, and yeah, scary. And then then the protector. What did you call him? A protector? The ally. I immediately jumped to protector before you mentioned protector, and that was equal in strength, sort of the yin and yang of it. And there was, and the demon was quite insatiable with the drinking the essence. It was quite hungry, a lot, and then after it was satisfied, it was a bit comical, like it had a sense of humor. It was like, oh, thanks, I needed that type of thing. So it went from scary to a bit of I don't know what the right word. So your demon became kind of like a comedian. A little bit, yeah. Yeah, gallons and gallons of type of thing, yeah. And there was, in the midst of that was the idea of respect. Respect for self. In other words, the fear. Respect for the demon. I guess, yeah, a sense of esteem and respect, if in the balance of both of them or something, or if calling upon the ally, there'll be a sense of respect in the world that can be achieved. That cannot be achieved if I'm being beat up by the demon. Yes, so the ally brought respect. Yeah, and strength. Both had lots of element of strength, both good and bad. Yes. Yeah. And the protector had a sense of humor too, like lighten up. Trunko used to say that, I think. Cheer up. Yeah. It was a wonderful, it was a very rich experience. Yeah. Just what the doctor ordered.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share? Imagination is a powerful thing. If you think about it, we're imagining our world all the time. So you could discount the imagination, say this isn't real, but then what is real? We're imagining things all day long. Anyone else want to say anything? Was it difficult? Was it easy? There's no right or wrong way that this happens. What? No, you don't have to, no one has to say anything. It may be that being spacious at this point is what's needed, is to allow it to just, you don't need to verbalize something and be, it's all right. And so what I would invite you to explore here is that you can feed, we have different demons. And knowing this process, you can kind of make it your own. And maybe you have a demon in a dream and you wake up, you have that dream that's scary. And you could just write that down in a journal and set it aside. And then when you have time during the day, when you're not pressed to do something, just sit down and go through a kind of this, once you know kind of the form of this, you could just go through feeding that demon, giving it what it needs, what it wants, and see what happens. So you're being with the demon as yourself, and you're finding you have this nectar that you give the demon what it needs. The demon is satisfied, and see if something doesn't emerge in the place of that demon that is some kind of ally and protector for you. This actually has a great deal of strength and can carry you through all kinds of difficulties. In the Buddhist tradition, we think of, there are cosmic Buddhas everywhere. We have such a small view of the world. We think the world is this, but there's ancestors and kin and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas everywhere, just waiting to help us. All you have to do is ask. And it's the asking, it's the opening. And in the asking, we're opening our hearts a little bit. Just letting go of that needing to know, being in control. And that soft spot we call bodhicitta. It can soften the anger, it can soften the fear, it can soften the anxiety, and make it workable somehow, that you actually can have it. It doesn't take you down. And that bodhicitta is another way of talking about a kind of protector that we have that is extremely powerful and strong. It's not weak. It can accommodate anything, any suffering. And when we can be with suffering this way, we can be noble human beings, not looking away. And we're going to look away. But there are moments when you don't, and you feel better for it. Like, yeah, you feel bigger. And then you can have some compassion for others that are suffering and that are afraid. And we can be less judgmental with this open heart and realize that we are all of this. We aren't, the self that we have created is an illusion. It gets in the way of seeing what is actually here. We are the world. We are all of this. And when we see this, there's no suffering in the way that we normally suffer. There's suffering. It's not personal. It's just suffering. So I think I'm just gonna I think we'll just, what I'd like to actually do is sit for about 10 minutes in silence and not have any more discussion, and then we'll leave in silence. I feel honored to have been with you in this kind of situation where you are all being brave and vulnerable, trying to work with something that is, I think, powerful within ourselves. And so my thanks and gratitude to each of you for your practice. And we're going to sit 10 minutes. I'm going to have Roshi Jun ring the bell. And 3 bells will begin the period, and 2, here, take the microphone, and 2 will end it. And then I would ask that we all leave in silence.